Welcome back to Storytime with Pookie, where the strange, the eerie, and the unexplained come to light. Tonight's story is about a stories narrated by an Uber driver. 2 stories in this post. I drive Uber a couple hours a week to earn some extra cash, pay for my car insurance, etc. I'm not a big drinker, so it always works out well for me when I go out with friends late at night. I get to go out and hang out for a bit and then earn some extra cash on the return trip home. One thing to keep in mind is that the Uber app does not tell you where the expected destination of a trip is before you accept it, so if somebody is requesting to be dropped off in an extremely sketchy area, you have no idea until you have already accepted the trip and the person is literally in the back seat of your car. Super shady, and in my opinion, it should be illegal for Uber to do that, but I digress. About a month ago, I was driving home in exactly such a scenario. It was around 1 a.m. and I had dropped off a couple people already, when I saw somebody had requested a ride about 5 minutes away. I decided I would pick up this guy and then head home. Unfortunately, the pickup location of this gentleman was in a not-so-nice part of town. When I pulled up, the guy was not waiting outside, which I was mildly annoyed about, but as I looked around the sketchy apartment complexes, I figured that I couldn't blame him for not wanting to stand around out in the open. Finally, after about 5 minutes, and a late fee, later the guy finally comes out and hops in the back seat. He was an African-American gentleman that looked to be near my age. "Where are you headed?" I asked him. "Post office," he muttered back to me. This instantly made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Why would somebody be going to the post office at 1 a.m.? To my knowledge, nobody worked a night shift at the post office. I decided to not ask any questions and commenced the trip, which was about 10 minutes away. The post office was in the eastern part of my city, and situated in a rather desolate part of town. Absolutely nobody other than myself and this guy were still out and about, judging by the look of the streets en route. Finally I pull up to the drive of the post office, which was tucked into an area located by what appeared to be a large abandoned factory, and I began to get worried. The entire complex was a large cement building with about a half-football field of driveway to the factory next door. Even though only the moonlight was the sole source of light for me to see, I could make out the shape of 4 shadowy silhouettes at the end of the drive. It looked like they were standing there waiting for the passenger in my car. "This is it," I said. "You can drop me off here." He responded, and got out of the car and began walking towards his 4 associates. I have no idea what he was doing that night, but I don't think he was mailing a letter. 2. Another Uber experience. I was driving downtown, and this time I got a call from a young man near my age. I drove to the location and parked my car next to a dilapidated bridge. I didn't see anybody waiting for the Uber, and waited for a couple seconds until I received a phone call from the guy who ordered the Uber. The Uber, he explained, wasn't for him, but for his friends. I didn't like the sound of that, and something about the situation made me nervous. At times, I might be overly cautious, but I've learned to always trust my gut. "I don't see your friends," I told him. The guy started describing them to me. "They were 2 shaggy-looking men with big bushy beards," he said. I started scanning around the area, trying to determine if I could see anybody that matched that description, and didn't see anyone. Nervous, I took my car out of park and started pulling away from the curb with the idea that it would be best to just leave. Suddenly, as I was driving away, I saw some movement out of the corner of my eye. 2 hobos with long beards and tattered clothes emerged from under the bridge and were walking towards my car. I instantly booked it and canceled the ride. I realized that it was probably some guy who was trying to help out a couple of homeless people get to where they needed to go, but the situation absolutely seemed off to me, and I have no idea if the guys were on drugs, etc. I don't regret canceling that ride at all. Not the creepiest experiences as far as some of the ones I read on this sub, but 2 times that something seemed a tad off to me. Thanks for watching. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be sure while you hop into the cab and be extra careful if you are the one driving. Sleep tight.